first exhibit of any kind that I saw was in September 1965, and it was Warhol's soup cans. So that was my original exposure to pop art, and by 1970 I had discovered Lichtenstein. I'd also, in the interim, had worked briefly for Warhol before moving to New York in 1970. And technically, the very first pop Western would have to be Warhol's Elvis paintings from 1963. Then I started making my pop imagery, like this piece, based on black and white movie stills, and that started in 1970. Well, I originally started out using black and white movie stills. There were two different places available where, I mean, literally as many as 1.5 million movie stills were available in small shops in New York, and there was one other in West Hollywood. So that was how I started, was by projecting on the canvas these black and white movie stills and then outlining as much that was obvious to make light into shadow. And I just invented the color myself. But this movie still really intrigued me, and I really didn't consider the narrative so much, other than I thought, I'm going to start with the boxcar, and I know it's got to be sort of a rust color off red. So I established that and tried to establish what some of the objects I was painting that seemed to be abstract, but you know, it's the undercarriage. And then I came into the figures, and as I got more into the figures, I began to discover, because of the values, this guy who's holding the gun on the sheriff who has the money is wearing a white hat. He seems to also have a pretty, fancy scarf. And his gloves are white and clean. He's got the fanciest boots of anybody. And so it makes you wonder who really is the bad guy, or what is the narrative, because he appears to be a good guy, but with a band of, these are obvious bandits. But why is the sheriff handing over the money to this guy? So I just like the idea that the narrative is somewhat confused. So I think that's a little bit compelling to hold your interest. This is the focus of Western art, and Indigenous Western art, that is dear to me. I mean, I think we represent much more relevance, if you will, than a lot of other, Western genre work is being done, particularly going forward.